Thank you for tuning in to Around the World in 80 Oysters, a live show about international oyster cuisine, culture, and appreciation. I'm Julie Chu from In a Half Shell, an oyster enthusiast, and I love to travel for oysters, but right now, not really possible, so bringing you some really interesting oyster people from around the world. Today we are going to visit Spain, which is a fabulous seafood country, and my special guest is Inaz Fernandez, who is the owner of El Puertito Oyster Bar in Bilbao. So I'm going to bring Inaz on, and before I forget, make sure to ask your questions in the comments in either Facebook or YouTube. Just do it while we're talking because there is a little bit of a lag between our feed and us seeing the questions. So I want to make sure that we answer them. Okay, here we go. Hello.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, how
How
are
are
you?
you? Hi, thank you. I'm really happy to talk to you. Thank
Oh,
you.
likewise. Thank you so much for
Okay.
taking time out of your day to
Hi.
do this.
Okay.
Where are you calling in from?
Okay. I I live in Bilbao, it's north
Yeah,
of Spain.
got it. Let's pull that up for everybody.
Yeah.
I love this Google Maps thing. Here's where I am in
Yeah.
Brooklyn. And, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll just type it in. Yeah, in Bilbao. I have only gone to Barcelona, so I haven't
Mm,
explored the northern side.
that's it. Yeah.
But here we go.
Okay.
So Bilbao, zooming out.
It's north of Spain. It's very near to
Okay.
France.
Yep.
Uh,
Awesome. And this is where you are and also where your oyster bar is.
yes.
Yeah. Great. Well, tell me, a little bit about yourself. How did you start your oyster business?
Yeah. So I always used to eat oysters with my father at Christmas. So I always love oysters. And when I grew up, I used to go to France often
Yeah.
to eat oysters. But in Spain, it was very difficult and expensive to eat them. So in a trip to France, I saw an amazing oyster bar, and I was thinking about open an oyster bar in Bilbao.
Yeah. Just so you
That's
can have oysters all the time.
yeah, yes. It was very expensive for me going to France, so
Oh, I see.
yeah.
So,
So I opened El Portito 7 years ago.
okay.
And that's because I opened.
Yep, great. Now, did you, because on Instagram I see that you do events and you have a shop. Did one
Hmm.
come before the other, or did you start the store first?
Uh, no, first was the bar.
Okay.
Was I started the bar?
Yep.
Uh,
Oh, very
so
cool.
no, I don't know if you are answering me that
Yes.
question.
So first you opened the oyster bar, and then you started doing the events outside of the bar. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
I
we
see.
start to do catering for events, a wedding,
Okay,
and all kind of events outside the bar. Yeah.
I see. Now, when you started your oyster bar in Bilbao, were there any other kinds of businesses like that, or
No, no,
you were the
no.
first one?
Yeah, we were the first. I think in Spain also.
Oh, wow.
The kind the way we sell oysters. Uh, there was no places in Spain like El Portito. So we,
Was
we,
there
we were the first oyster
okay?
bar. Yeah.
Was there any oyster consumption? Did people eat raw oysters in
Yeah.
Spain?
Many years ago, people went used to go to very expensive restaurants. Um, you had to eat them by a dozen, very
Hmm.
expensive. Um, and I thought that in El Portito we had to sell oysters by a unit, by unit or very cheap, to make more popular for the
I see.
people. And I think we made a change.
Well, that's
Change.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Since the time you opened, you've seen
Mm.
a. Is it just in your town, or have you heard of oyster consumption rise across the country?
I think oysters. So people didn't consume oysters in many places in Spain.
Yeah.
It's mostly in big capitals or big cities and in Galicia,
Yeah.
because all the oyster farms were in Galicia. It
Right.
was the only place in Spain like 20 years ago.
I'm going to show a photo that you sent.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
beautiful. So the Galicia oyster
the
is
le-
on the left.
yes, the flight oyster, typical from Galicia,
Yeah.
very very expensive, but very good quality.
Do you know how the farms started in Galicia? Was there just native, uh, is the oyster just naturally abundant there and then people just started harvesting them, or did they put in
Yeah,
actual farms?
yeah. They put in farms between in the middle of the sea. Yeah, it's
Okay.
different kind of farms that in France. They are not. Um, they are like floating, no? With
Oh, sure.
strings.
Yes,
It's different way
I see.
of.
When did they start doing that? Do you know?
Is when the year, or when in the season. Or,
Which year?
I,
Which?
I don't know. I don't know. It's very old.
Okay,
Maybe 19th century.
I
They
see.
start in Galicia.
Gotcha. Um, well, now I guess I want to, because when I think of Spain, I think of amazing seafood.
Yeah.
Just such an abundance of different kinds.
Mm,
I'm, I
mm,
guess I'm surprised and not surprised to know that oysters were not really consumed,
mm.
as a part of seafood culture. Do you have a sense of why that is? Was it just availability, or are raw seafoods just not as popular?
I don't know. Well, in Spain is very great gastronomy and a very good seafood.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. Oysters never are. O sea, never were the most popular seafood
Yeah.
in Spain, because I think because the price.
But you grew up eating oysters as a kid, right?
Yeah,
So were
yes, but
you?
yeah, but no, not every day. It was in the
I
special
see.
days, like
I
a
see.
Christmas or a birthday. It was always were expensive
I see. They were special,
in
like a special
Spain.
occasions.
So yeah, so uh, in my mind is were like a very good product or very good food.
Yep.
So I don't know
Okay.
exactly how to explain.
Well,
So,
when people come to El Puertito, which is right here, it's super cute. I really want to visit. So cute.
yeah,
Um,
thank you.
do they? How do people find you? And have you converted many first-time oyster lovers?
Yeah, I don't know. Many years ago, people in Bilbao used to eat oysters, but some year oysters stopped to be in bars and restaurants. There were very few places to eat them. So when I opened El Portito, people looked the prices, and they surprised because they didn't understand why oysters could be so cheap,
Right.
and that was the best marketing or advertising. People were talking about El Portito, and in 1 month, everybody knew the El Portito,
I see.
and many people were to eat oysters. Many first time,
Yeah.
and then we have a lot of customers since 7 years ago. They used to they come every week.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah,
They just keep coming back.
yeah. It was.
And I see a lot of varieties that you carry. How many oyster varieties do you typically sell at your bar?
We have we have many kinds of oysters. In summer we have like 7 different kinds, and in winter we have 12, 13
Wow.
kind of oysters. We have from Galicia, of course.
Yes.
We have some oysters from France, from Brittany, from Normandy.
Yeah.
Some oysters from Ireland. Also, the most expensive oysters we have are from Holland.
Yeah.
The big flat oysters.
Sure. Right.
Very tasty and very good quality oysters. We have now some oysters from the south of Spain and south of Portugal also.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
are those? Do you know where those are coming from specifically?
Yeah, there are some oyster farms, little oyster farms in rivers,
Okay.
rivers from south of Spain and from south of Portugal also.
Let's see.
Like
Do you have-
little oyster farms.
Oh,
They have
okay.
very little production, very
Are you talking about like
Cádiz, in Cádiz.
here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You see Cádiz?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So they're
There are
from
some
Cádiz.
people, yeah, growing oysters now there.
Are they growing the flat oyster or the Pacific?
No, it's Pacific oysters.
The Pacific.
Yeah. Yeah. It's flat oysters. There is very few places in
Right.
Europe they have flat oysters.
Do so local Spanish oyster lovers, do they prefer the flat oyster over the
Yeah.
Pacific? They do for most part.
I think older people they prefer flat oysters because because they were the only oyster we had in Spain,
Right.
like 10 years ago or more. But now young people they are trying Japanese oysters or Pacific oysters,
Yep.
and they love them. And many people prefer the Pacific oysters than flat oysters. Many people.
Do you is it because of the taste overall? I imagine.
I think so. It's a very different taste.
Yeah.
So flat oysters are more metallic or are bigger, are different, and people now they put some seasoning or whatever,
Sure.
it's like very fresh, and I think more people prefer the Pacific oysters in Spain.
Now,
Yeah.
do people like to cook oysters
Yeah.
in Spain? Do you see it in recipes and
No,
other?
not too much. In some top restaurants, like high gastronomy, or
Sure.
some of them.
Yeah.
of that kind of restaurants, they are cooking oysters, but bigger cooking is Pacific oysters, but the big ones, like
Okay.
number 2 or 1.
Yep.
Yeah,
For people who don't understand, there's a grading system
yeah,
that goes in, like the lower the number, right? It
yeah,
means the bigger the oyster.
yeah, yes,
Um,
right.
do you have the grading system for the Pacific oyster as well?
Not in Spain, but in
Ah,
France. Yeah, in France they have that method. You know, and we sell in El Portito. We sell number 3.
okay,
Every kind of oysters we sell
number three.
number 3.
Do you sell
But in
any?
restaurants, bigger, the number 1 or
Yeah.
0.
I mean, how
Yeah.
big are you talking about? Like, I guess it's
Uh,
hard to tell like online, but
it's like this one. This
uh,
you
okay,
see?
kind of. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Like against your
More or
thumb, like
less.
that's how big
Yeah,
the.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
see. I
number
see.
3.
Ah,
That's number
that's
3.
still quite big.
Yeah,
It's like a mouthful.
yeah.
Do you guys do you only serve oysters at your restaurant, or do you serve other seafood?
Not in El Portito. In El
Okay.
Portito, we just have oysters, different kind
And
of.
wine?
Yes, very good wine. Wine and champagne,
Oh, very
beer
nice.
also.
Do people do like the local Spanish prefer a specific type of alcohol to pair with oysters, or are people open to exploring?
Mm, in our place, people prefer white wine
Any
to.
particular kind of white wine?
Mm, we have white wine from Basque Country. This Bilbao is in Basque Country,
Yes.
called Chacolí, and many people drink Chacolí with oysters.
Okay.
And it's very typical in Spain to eat oysters with Albariño. It's a white wine from Galicia
That makes
also.
sense. It's a very dry,
Yeah.
high acidic wine.
Also champagne or
Yeah.
that kind of wines
Right.
are the most popular. Yeah.
And is there any kind of misconception that people have about oysters that you would like to
Yeah.
change?
Yeah, yeah. I think many people still think that oysters could be dangerous. We have tried during these years to uh, to es- mm, to explain to the people that if you have the oysters in good condition from the farm to the bar, you don't have any problem. We never had a case of food poisoning,
Yeah.
so
Well, that's good.
I think it's all thing. I don't know, all thinking
Yeah.
or
Maybe some restaurants that, had oysters but didn't take good care of it got some people sick.
yeah. I think it's for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many years ago, it was very different. The transport, the 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 trucks or whatever
Yeah.
were very very different.
Right. Well, where I guess my last question for you is, where do you see oyster culture going in Spain? Do you feel like more people, given this time right now when everybody's home, do you feel like people are eating oysters at home, or are they being more comfortable with it?
I I feel like people loves love oysters, but what people likes to do is to go to a bar like El Portito, and they prefer to eat oysters with other people,
Sure.
drinking wine,
Yeah, it's very
like
social.
social, yeah, very
Yes,
social,
very social.
than in at their homes, you know.
I just eat oysters by myself in my kitchen
Yeah,
at home.
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I
yes,
don't want
yes.
to.
Sometimes me too. Yeah,
Well,
but it's
I have a couple
mm,
of questions from
yeah,
the audience,
okay.
and so I'm gonna bring up. So this is Chef Paulo, who was part of our Singapore episode, and he's
Mm,
asking. I think we answered as El Portito only serving
yeah,
oysters. Yes, but is there a
yeah,
demand of fried foods like
yeah,
fries to pair with oysters?
yeah. So no, in El Portito we just have oysters, different kind of oysters and drinks, wine, but food is only oysters.
Got
It's
it.
very specific, a specific bar. No?
Uh,
Well,
Mike, I'm curious. Do people come to El Portito before
mm,
dinner? They have some oysters and then they go to dinner, or do they just
it's mm,
whenever?
yeah, yeah. It's all we open at like 11,
Mm,
12 until 12, more or less 11, 12 p.m.
I see.
And we have people all day, during all day, eating oysters.
Right.
Mm.
Is and
There is no time to eat oysters, but maybe between around 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. are
okay.
the most popular hours, but all day.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Yeah, yeah,
I have one other question from Jean. Is there? I think he's asking, is there a market for wild oysters
yeah,
or only cultivated?
yeah. Oh, and in Spain is prohibited to sell wild oysters
Oh,
because it's you have to. Yeah, we just can sell cultivated oysters.
I
So
see. Are they protected?
yeah, yeah.
They are so. That's interesting. It, so how? Okay. So there's no wild fishery that you can that people collect oysters. It's always
It's
done
very
in.
difficult. No, no, it's
Okay.
very difficult to eat wild oysters. You can do it, but by yourself.
Hmm.
You, because there is a risk. There's a risk of poisoning.
Yeah.
So
What do you think would happen if you had access to a wild oyster that is harvested outside of Spain? Can you bring wild oysters from other countries in?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just making
I'm
trouble.
not sure. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so my last question
Mhm.
is if you could visit anywhere else in the world to try their local oysters, where would you like to go?
The place I love to go is Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Japan, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This
me
is
too.
for me it were a dream. So
Fantastic.
someday I will go to Japan. Uh,
Absolutely.
to
I
do
think
it.
that would be a great trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think that is all the time we have. But before we go, just want to make sure everybody knows El Portito is on Instagram. They have a great account, so please give them a follow. And thank you, Inez.
Thank
This
you,
was
Eli.
wonderful. Re-
Thank you for
yeah,
thinking about me and El Portito.
I'm definitely coming to visit once
Yeah,
we get
please, please.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, actually, what is the best time to come to Spain to eat
Um,
oysters?
October, November, December.
Okay, well, it's it's doable maybe.
Okay, after summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, that was a fun episode. Ugh, now I just really want to go to Spain. So coming up next week, I'm still figuring out who if we are going to do two episodes. I actually might do just one. But we're going to talk to Mylene Tang, who is a vice president and aqua journalist for Cochina Mar Foundation in Chile. So we're going to Chile. And she's also a partner in a restaurant called Tres Peces in Valparaiso. I need to figure out how to pronounce these names a little better before this. But thank you for tuning in. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. I have a bunch, if you haven't seen them, like a bunch of other past episodes saved in the playlist on Facebook and YouTube. So go and check them out. It's been really fun to talk to people from around the world about their oyster culture. So see you next week.